Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pails, steel-toe boots.
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure.
Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jalen.
Can I quote the John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
All right, folks. Another one in the books. Another one in the books, this time over the border. Up in Toronto, Celtics with a win over the Raptors, 105-96. Fun little entertaining game on a Monday. Happy MLK Day to everybody watching from home. And Celtics, this was a good one from start to finish, Bobby. They allowed the third quarter comeback as they've been known to do, but not to the point where things got out of hand and they started to reel. Again, this one without Jaylen Brown, who missed out this game. They're calling it a right knee. You can call it rest, whatever you want to tell yourself to get to bed tonight. But Jaylen Brown missed this one, and we'll hope to see him back out there Wednesday. But they didn't need him at the end of the day. No Brown, no problem. Led by the guards. How about that tonight? Leading scorers for the Celtics, Derrick White and Jrue Holiday with 22 apiece. Holiday added 7 assists. I thought this was one of his better games, not just because of the stats, but I just think with Jaylen Brown out, you look for guys like a Holiday, who's we've talked about in the past, who's got that probably more of a sacrifice that he's made this year than the other guys in the starting lineup. And he sees an opportunity to step in when there's a vacancy, if you will, and he fills it. And, that's, I think, the mark of a championship team when guys are stepping into these roles on a pinch, on a moment's notice, and they're able to overcome that. So, Bobby, just, we'll start with you because you were, I don't know if you've formally
Mr. Toronto
on Toronto as your team B. You can tell us if you have or not. But they used to be back in the original days, the OG days of the Garden Report. You were maybe one or two most popular guys in Toronto for a bit.
Yeah, and I'll ride with them. I'm gonna see it through the rebuild here, and I do think the rebuild's coming. 8 straight wins.
Through the rebuild.
What a guy!
8 straight wins for the Celtics now over Toronto, which would have been hard to imagine a couple years ago. But this team's obviously disbanding here, but you still see them fight. I think it was a 3-point game in the first Toronto game this year these teams played. Celtics really had to scrap and execute late in that game. And same thing here, a couple big runs by the Raptors to within 6 late. Celtics led by 11 early and gave up a 23-5 run into the third. So they never stopped attacking the basket. New dynamic, obviously, with Quickly and Barrett involved. Those slashing guards were just super effective at points through this game. I think Barrett started 8 for 11. So this was a pretty impressive effort by both of them. I think the shooting was just horrible on the Toronto side. So pretty amazing that despite shooting 12% from 3, they stay in this game right down to the wire. That's on their rebounding. That's on their effectiveness inside. Siakam puts a lot of pressure on the rim. And this was a rough one for Porzingis trying to deal with that. And he turned the ball over a bunch on offense too. So you needed Holiday. You need White to make some timely plays. Just a ridiculous 3 in the corner to close that one out. Ahead by 6, I believe, at that point. So he was great. That was after turning his ankle too, putting his foot down in the corner, making sure he was in bounds. A great pass by Tatum there. Some good execution in this game in the half court when the Celtics needed it. Thought Tatum was good in the second half of the third, attacking the basket. Holiday, as you mentioned, Jimmy throughout, just in the pocket, around the basket with a putback, passing. He had that feed to Tatum for the backdoor cutting dunk at one point. And he puts up these stats, honestly, night to night, Sherrod. You don't even notice it, right? It's oh, crap, Holiday has 7 rebounds. I looked up tonight and was he has 7 assists? When did that happen? I feel like we say that every night with him.
Well, we do. And the thing about Jrue that I'm getting a better handle, and I think most people are as well, is he has games where you're just maybe he's lost a step or two. Maybe his shot isn't quite what it is. And then there are nights like this where a key guy's out and he's allowed to essentially be more of the Jrue Holiday that we've seen on other rosters. And he's really good at when to basically fill that void when they need him. Basically, what Paul Pierce always says, give the game what it needs. And that's what Jrue Holiday consistently does. But, Bobby, your earlier point about how Toronto, can't believe how they were able to kind of hang in here shooting as bad as they were. The Celtics were helping them because the Celtics shot like crap too. Celtics shot 40% from the field, great for three-point range, 41%. That's a good number from three-point range. But, I mean, you start looking at the box scores of the Celtics. I mean, Tatum, 7 for 19. Al, usually 4 for 10. Derrick White, 7 for 18. Jrue Holiday was the one bright spot, 7 for 14. And the bench really didn't have it good. I mean, Brissett did some good things, I thought. Sam Hauser, not really much of a factor. Peyton missed 6 of the 7 shots that he took. But this was a game that I thought the Celtics, this was a transactional win for me. This was simply, we show up, we get the win, we get the hell back to the United States. There wasn't any type of like emotional engagement or attachment to this. Like, I didn't think the Celtics played down to them. I didn't think the Celtics got up for them. I think the Celtics just said, let's just get in here, get the win, and get the hell back home.
Yeah. And they did it the hard way, right? Because if you play this team later in the year, it's probably young guys. And I guess in this one, too, you went up against Jonte Porter. OG's gone. You saw some of their young guys playing off the bench there. But this is still a team that has Siakam, Barrett, Quickly. Those guys with the Knicks gave you trouble every time you played them. So you got their best in, I'd say, 3 out of the 4 games this year, and you won all 3 of those. This is impressive stuff from the Celtics, continuing to execute when they need to. I like Joe's 2 timeouts in the fourth quarter, Sherrod. He saved all 4 for late, and he needed them against some of those Raptors runs late. The offense at times in this one was just a mess. Holiday had that turnover at half court. You had Porzingis running into guys over and over again. I think he had 6 turnovers in this one. Tatum missed a lot of jump shots. You mentioned Pritchard all the way down the line. It just wasn't a great shooting night. And they really weren't able to get up a lot of threes. This is normally a team that's closer to 50. They finished this one with 39. And you knew right from the start, Jimmy, they went like 15-8 in terms of shots in Toronto's favor early on, just because of turnovers, because of extra, shot opportunities by the Raptors in this one. It's a great rebounding team. So they put a lot of pressure on you there, 9-5 on the offensive glass. So this is always a challenge against this team. I think this new coach is doing a good job there, despite a transitional roster. Quickly is just a really tough guard to deal with. Schroeder can get by mismatches. So this is a bad team on paper, but they play tough, possession to possession in the game. I thought Barnes had some really nice moments in this one too. I like this win a lot. This is another road game where you just battled and pulled it out late. There was a lot of good stuff here up and down. We can get into some of the other individual performances, starting with Holiday here, of course. White, I feel like he's not playing as well recently, but he's still playing really well. It's just he was playing out of this world to start the year. And then Horford, I thought this might have been his best game of the season. Some really good contributions from some of the depth guys here.
Horford with a couple timely shots in this game in the second, a couple big threes in key moments. And we haven't really mentioned Porzingis' ability to get to the free throw line tonight. I thought that was honestly a big difference maker, because that happened. A few of those did happen in the middle of the Raptors making that third quarter run. I just think Porzingis' ability to sort of reset things, slow it down a little bit, don't let the Raptors get too hot, because that's when a guy like Quickly, no pun intended, but he wants to get out. He wants to keep things moving. He can score in bunches.
I was thinking of you, Jimmy. They slowed the game down into that third quarter, the later half of the third quarter, and the Raptors just went dead. I mean, when they were out on the run, they were deadly. When it became a half-court game, the Celtics had a significant advantage.
Exactly, and I think, again, getting to the line, driving to the hoop, not taking those. And I thought Tatum did it a couple times tonight, but overall it kept it in check. But sometimes those threes you live by the 3, you die by the 3. If you're not hitting those threes, you're just allowing the Raptors to get out on the break and do their thing in transition. And luckily, I think Porzingis was one of the guys that was able to sort of recalibrate the team a little bit on the offensive end, slow it down, let the Celtics regain that lead. And then they were able to kind of pull away in that fourth. I know, was it Hauser that kind of hit the dagger shot there to go up? Maybe I think it was 13 or 14 in that fourth quarter. So just their ability to be able to come back from that, it's a sign of growth, in my opinion. And again, we talked about Holiday starting things off in Brown's absence, and then Porzingis being able to do his thing. This is the difference between maybe a loss last year and tonight's
How many
outcome.
times have we said that this
Yeah,
year?
and it's.
I mean, they've had at least 7, 8, 9 games like that so far this year, where you know damn well if the same situation presented itself a year ago, we would be bitching and moaning about a bad loss.
Right.
And they're finding ways to. And this was a game again, Toronto game. We always, it's so cliche to talk about it being a game of runs, but this was really a game of runs where Boston will be up by 14, and then Toronto going to run and go up by 7, and Boston will go back on their run and go up by like 10. And it was that kind of game. And those kind of games, the Celtics at some point in the past have just said, forget it, it's just not our night. And tonight they were just like, no, we're just going to find a way to win this game, and it's just going to be another transactional victory for us. We're going to come here. We're going to play with them. They're going to keep it kind of close. We're not going to be perfect, but we're going to be perfect enough to get the win. And the point that both you and Jimmy, you and Bobby made that I think is key is they hit timely shots. And it wasn't just one guy.
Right.
Tatum had his moments. Porzingis had his moments. Hauser had his moments. Al had his moments. Jrue had his moments. That's what great teams do. They have multiple guys that can deliver the dagger or can deliver the final nail in the coffin, so to speak. And the Celtics, you saw a lot of that down the stretch in this game.
Yeah, let me just weigh in here.
I just feel like it takes a full 48 to beat this team. I think teams like the Raptors and teams that have sort of been close in the sense of coming into that fourth quarter where things change, they're starting to learn that. And I think when it comes to obviously Tatum taking over the way he did in the third quarter, taking matters to his own hands makes a difference. But the Celtics, the Raptors did a really good job of just disrupting them and protecting the rim. Celtics, they missed nearly more actually than 1/3 of their layups. They were like 7 to 23 in the paint.
Toronto
shot falling, but no, Celtics were. Toronto was awful from deep, but the Celtics missed a lot of layups. And I thought that's what really kept Toronto in it, despite the fact that they were so ice cold from behind the arc. The way they defended Kristaps Porzingis, I thought was key as well. But the Celtics, other
Toronto,
guys
4 of 32. I didn't even overlook that number. That is
Derrick White
next level bad.
Derrick White missed a huge layup, and then he made a big 3 on the other end. Like what Sherrod said, other guys stepping up as well after Tatum. That's what really put the nail in the coffin for the Raptors.
Now, Bobby, you had mentioned earlier off the top that the rebuild's coming for Toronto. They just made a pretty big trade, I would say, borderline franchise-altering type trade here. I mean, to some extent, with trading OG to the Knicks and taking back Barrett and quickly. I imagine they didn't do this so that they could rebuild in a couple years. What is it about those two players do you think that made Toronto make that trade? And do you think they got enough for OG? Or was it just a win-win on both sides?
I go back and forth on it. RJ, the problem for Toronto is those two players are about to be expensive. RJ already signed a big extension, quickly needs one this summer.
But they must want to pay them, right? I mean, they wouldn't.
They probably like them. They probably want to invest in them. And they needed a point guard badly. I mean, Malachi Flynn and Dennis Schroeder wasn't getting it done for them after Lowry left a couple years ago.
There's your Schroeder hate. We knew we were going to get it.
But they probably love quickly. I think there's some Tyrese Maxey elements to his game. They're not exactly the same player, but giving him more opportunity and room to play is, I think, a good thing for him. And, you just had to get off OG and get something back for him. I think they got a second-round pick from Detroit in that deal, too. So that's a borderline first-round pick in a couple of years, you'd have to imagine. So it was decent value. I know they were looking for 4 firsts at one point for him of value, and that just wasn't happening. And then his free agency comes up, and it's like, oh, crap. So I think given that he's an expiring contract, they did really well. Same thing's going to happen for Siakam here. Indiana's apparently in the mix. Dallas. Detroit's looking at him. I mean, they want to get a, cornerstone guy in there. It's just so bad right now that, the slow road's not going to go great for them. So I'm interested to see who makes the big push. It seemed like the Kings were on the doorstep of a deal a week or two ago, built around Harrison Barnes and probably some draft compensation, but they backed out because Siakam was going to extend there. So will he extend in some of these other cities? Does he want to stay in Toronto? I mean, it's the only city he's ever been in. I think he's a great fit up there in terms of the, city. So I don't know. I don't know what he wants. He's a great player. He's a champion. Dallas, I think, would be a really nice landing
Yeah, I
spot for
think
him.
that would be huge for them.
Yeah.
You know, and they're playing great right now. Grant is not, so they need that help at the 4.
Oh,
Yeah, Grant.
he said it. He
Your
admitted
boy
it.
Grant had like one good month, and after that, it's been suspect.
It's
man.
been
Would
crickets.
not
Team
be-
Grant has been quiet.
Celtics play them
For
on
real.
Monday.
Would not be shocked if the Raptors put together a package that has Grant coming to Toronto
Grant getting a
that'd be
passport?
interesting.
and Pascal going to Dallas. Because to me, when I look at that Dallas roster and I look at Kyrie and Luka and potentially Pascal added to the mix, they become a top tier team in the West. They become a legit and because to
You're gonna
me,
need to send a lot more than Grant then.
you absolutely you're going to have to deplete that bench. But if your core is Kyrie,
picks.
Luka, and Pascal,
That's
look at their
legit.
big three in terms of complementing each other. Not just the talent, but just the way they complement each other. You don't have 3 guys that are going to be stepping over each other's foots. Kyrie has the ability to play on and off the ball. Same thing with Luka and Pascal. Remember when he first came to the league, he was just Mr. Energy, just that guy.
G League.
What's that?
He was a G League guy.
After that, Jimmy. After the G League.
Well, I mean, I feel like he had to earn his
when
play
he
that way,
actually
right?
got on the floor in the NBA, his whole game was about energy and hustle. And then as time moved on, he became a better face-up shooter. He became a better rebounder. He became a better overall defender and didn't just rely on just being a high-energy guy. Add a guy like that to the mix in Dallas, you got a team that, again, they're a top-tier team in the West if they can make that happen.
Dallas does have some salaries to throw around. Tim Hardaway at 18.
Hardaway?
Raquan Holmes at 12.
And if
then,
you're a
whoever
rebuilding
needs
team
to
like
round it out.
Toronto, if you can get some of those guys on like expiring deals or if their contracts are manageable money-wise, you might have something there.
Yeah.
Because if you're rebuilding, you're just trying to find guys. You're just trying to find things that click. You're just trying to find guys that
And
are
picks
actually
too, I
worth.
guess.
Yeah, picks and clicks. What's clicking with these guys that we're bringing in? These picks, can we do something with them? But we've talked way more about Toronto than I would talk about.
And that was talking Toronto. Well,
This is Bobby's fault.
it's a conference team. Used to be a rival. I
Yeah,
guess
but
not anymore.
they're not a rival now.
No,
They're, as Bobby
used to be a
eloquently put, they're
division
rebuilding.
rival, Sherrod. Back when the divisions matter too.
Divisions don't matter anymore.
I
Jimmy.
know, it's sad. I kind of
They
miss
should.
divisions,
Yeah.
division rivalries. I bet you
I
they go
don't.
back to them someday.
Maybe they should do that for the in-season tournament.
There you go, Bobby. Now you're thinking. Tie it back in somehow.
Nah.
No, whatever.
Instead of Orlando, and I guess there were a couple of teams in the division, Brooklyn and Toronto in the group for the IST, but let's see. I guess winning the IST, given how it's gone for the Lakers, isn't the best thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I guess none other than
raise that banner though.
Every
I
team
forget
that
who's-
wins it, it's like bad luck. Is that gonna be a thing now?
Yeah, it's
I forget who.
yeah.
I forget who
It's a
told
President's
this.
Cup.
I forget who told this story, but I guess Larry David was like, the worst thing the Lakers could do is win the in-season tournament, and whoever was talking to him was like, why? And he's like, you're ramping up like it's the championship, and then you're right back in the regular season games, and it's weird because like normally you'd be doing that for the playoffs, and then the season's over, but now it's like you're starting a second season again after that. And the Lakers have their own issues, but it's gonna be interesting to see how teams coming out of that fair. The Celtics obviously bowed out early, and they've now won 16 of 20 since getting that week off. So I was obviously very upset that they didn't make it, but maybe they benefited from it, Jimmy.
Yeah, well, if Larry David said it, then I mean, who knows more about the NBA than Larry freaking David? I mean,
I'm like, yo, are you talking about the Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I'm googling Larry David, or is he like a GM of some team that I don't know about?
No, Larry
Freaking
David.
Larry
from,
damn David. Okay.
Is there a writer I don't know about the Athletic? Larry David.
No, but I mean, to your point, Bobby. Yeah, I mean, we can go back and forth on if it was.
That's such a Larry David way of thinking too.
Yeah, exactly. Larry David's just gonna be pissed no matter what, right? That's the whole point.
Exactly.
So of course he's upset.
That's his brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on now.
Yeah.
The dude dropped a season every 3 years because of that. Like, he's got to ramp up.
Yeah.
They do
So
have a new season coming out.
yeah. So we talk Raptors. We just talk Lakers. We'll reel it back in here to the Celtics.
Can we talk Al Horford? Because I was so.
Let's
excited
talk
about
Al
his
Horford.
game.
Let's talk. We haven't. You know what? Let's give Al his flowers because he probably gets the short end of the stick on a lot of these shows. banished to the bench to start the year. Talk about sacrifice, Jrue
And
Holiday.
he was struggling early in the season. It was
Sure,
like,
trying to adapt to that new role on the team. He's been a starter his entire career, and he's coming in here again in a situation where you're down a starter. We said this, or I said this about Jrue Holiday to start the show, but Al Horford double tonight for the young Bucks still. 10 points, 11 rebounds, couple big threes. I mean, Sherrod, you've been following Horford's career for over a decade
forever.
now.
We'll just call it forever.
Yeah, I mean, are you surprised by? Yeah.
No, I'm not surprised. I mean, Al has always been a guy that has been good enough to help you win games. Remember, this is a guy that won not one but two back-to-back national championships. And when he was in Atlanta, a team that when he got there, playoffs were something they did every now and then. He did it every damn year he was there. They were in the playoffs. So Al, I'm not surprised that he's stepping up to the bell. But the one thing, and I've talked to him about this this season, is just the adjustment that comes when you get to a certain point in your career where you have to evolve. And when we think of evolution, we think of evolving into something bigger, better, and grander. But sometimes that evolution is evolving into something more specific from a niche standpoint that your team needs you to be. Like, they need Al to be ready and able to impact games just like that. And that has to occur on nights like this when you don't have a Jaylen Brown, where he's in the starting lineup. You're playing a team like Toronto that doesn't really have a whole lot to lose. You've got to make an impact in some way, shape, or form, a positive one if your team's going to win. This is just who he is. This is who Al Horford is. Now, is he going to play this well every night? I don't think so. But you know that it's there. And it's similar to what I was saying about Jrue Holiday. Like, sometimes those older veteran type players, we see the true essence of who they are when someone's missing, because that forces them to tap into that wisdom, that experience, that talent that they might be holding a little bit back in order for the betterment of the team to now all of a sudden shine through. I think back to what Porzingis said about Jrue Holiday, about how he has sacrificed more than anyone else on his team. And you don't really see that, because when you're watching him play, when they got their full complement, he looks like he's just kind of fitting in. But when you're missing a Jaylen Brown, he goes for 22 points, shoots 50% from the field, 4 for 6 on threes, makes all his free throws, gets you, 6, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, something like that. Had a really all across the board high impact game. And he has that ability. It's just that we're not going to see it as often as I think it could be seen, because that's not what the team needs for him to do in order for them to be successful.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you'll see him ramp it up for sure in the postseason. That's just what Al does. Literally, historically speaking, his numbers go up in the playoffs. And
he's trying to get that ring.
I don't think this year will be any different. Yes, his role has changed a bit, but that's something that he's adapted to, in my opinion, for these opportunities.
Has his game changed, Josue? Or is his game talking about over the last couple of years? Clearly, it's obviously changed from the beginning of his career till now.
Right. I mean, ever since
with his role change, I mean, I feel like they're still getting like the same guy. They're asking him to do the same things, get in the same spots, take the same type of shots.
Right. He's just going to take less shots because there's other guys out there that can knock down shots, right? I mean, when someone's out in the starting five, he's going to obviously give you nights like tonight, but also he can have these kind of nights on any given day. I just feel like throughout the course of an 82-game season, he knows that it's a long, long road. And I wouldn't be shocked again if Al turns it up closer to the playoffs, going into the playoffs, but these type of nights, so they'll take that for sure. I mean, at this stage of his career, these are the kind of nights this is the kind of role that I think Al can thrive in. Yeah, sometimes it's hard for him to kind of pick his spots because there's so many guys around that can knock down shots and can produce as well. But when his name is called, he's going to do this. And I think in the end of the season and going into the postseason, he'll take it up a notch.
He was awesome in this game. There's certain nights, Jimmy, where he just looks, maybe it was the rest last week and getting some extra time off. He looks super spry on certain nights. And tonight was one of them. He was all over guys defensively early, just knocking the ball out of people's hands. The rebounding in this one, obviously, pretty high. And then he went to the post at one point, and I've noticed that a little bit over the last couple of games he's played. He'll go to a small inside and do that little quick hook off the glass over him. I looked at the numbers. He's up a little bit in terms of those attempts at the rim. up from like 1 to 1.5 a game. He's shooting 70% on them, up from 65 last year. So that's big because he, ever since that Philly season, has steadily gone down in terms of what he does at the basket, volume and efficiency. And you just thought, oh, he doesn't have that anymore. But that's a useful option if you're in a little bit of a drought or there's an advantageous matchup there. They always say, Joe always says, go to the matchup. And that's something that they can go to, I think. And then on the defensive end, that zone tonight was just a killer. And they threw that out there against Indiana last week in the first game. Tonight, It was just so disruptive. After that big Raptors run, they shut Barnes down on a few plays with it, got some deflections. You had Al and Cornette out there at one point doing it together. I think Porzingis and Cornette were out there with the double big alignment. Just have some size, and you got Holiday playing in the middle. It's a weird look, Sherrod. I haven't seen too much 2-1-2 in the league, but the Celtics have gone into that look with Holiday in the middle, so he can defend low and high and just kind of roam out there. And then you have the two bigs down low. So Indy kind of carved it up in the second game, but it was great against them in that first game. And then tonight, it just completely shut the Raptors down for a little bit.
It just forces opponents to have one more thing they got to think about in their preparation for the Celtics. And it's something that I don't think it's to me, it's more of a gimmicky type of thing where you'll do it for maybe 2 or 3 possessions, just to throw something out there, give them a different look, just like Al getting the ball on the block. I want to see Al do at least 3 post-ups a game. He doesn't have to shoot all 3 times. He doesn't have to pass all 3 times.
Because he passes out of that spot well, too.
But I want him to do that because it forces the defense to react in a way that there's no other Celtic that they're going to react that way for. Porzingis can score in a block, but that's not really what he does. Al can literally go down, put 1 foot in the paint, 1 out, and demand the ball and get it to him. Porzingis is different. But Al, like I said, I just think Al is one of those guys that little things are going to be huge for this team to win a championship. And something as simple as Al getting 2 or 3 touches in a post per game, even if he's not looking to shoot, even if he doesn't pass, that's one of those things that they're going to need. They're going to need that.
Guys, I want to take a quick break. Remind everybody that this show would not be possible. We would not be able to pay Bobby Manning's salary if it wasn't for a couple of our great sponsors, including the great folks at HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Guys, whether your resolutions to save money, eat better, stress about other things aside from getting home and trying to make a meal, HelloFresh is here to help you do all 3. So say hello to your most delicious year yet with fresh ingredients, chef-crafted recipes at a price you'll like, delivered right to your door. Again, guys, farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients. You know the deal, seasoned recipes, all that good stuff. You got to go to HelloFresh.com/CLNS-free and use the code CLNS-free for free breakfast for life. Again, guys, free breakfast for life. Bobby is swimming in breakfast over there. He has been for quite some time. Once a week, when you get your meal kit, it comes with a free breakfast item for as long as you guys are subscribed to HelloFresh. So, ipso facto, free breakfast for life. I know Sherrod's a big HelloFresh guy, too. We've all experienced and enjoyed our meals coming into us.
HelloFresh is the GOAT.
Busy lifestyles.
They got a great burger kit. I know I've gone with the fish package usually.
Nothing better than getting the burger kit because it takes away all the steps. Nothing better than biting into a burger, but sometimes the process of putting that thing together, making sure you get all the ingredients that you want. Some people want a certain type of vegetable on top, maybe a certain type of cheese, the condiments. I'm personally a ketchup and mayo guy. I got to have ketchup and mayo on my burger.
Same.
I got to have them both.
Same.
Josue knows what I'm talking about.
Sherrod, you don't like Whoppers?
What are you, Sherrod?
They added, when I made it last time,
Give me ketchup. I don't need both, man.
What?
Oh, I gotta have both. Dude.
Mayo's key, yeah, man.
They had a recipe.
I'm somewhat of a segregationist when it comes to my condiments.
Ketchup and mayo.
Face, man.
Anyways,
they had a recipe, Jimmy, for like an onion sauce to put on top of it last time. That was just amazing. Yeah.
Really? Oh, they gave you the ingredients for it, or they just gave you
the ingredients? They had this. It was the firecracker burger. It was like hot sauce and mayonnaise. They had these nice sauce blends. This was good.
Yeah, a little ketchup, a little mayo. Some people call that Thousand Island, but it's different. It's not quite that, but I'm telling you, it's money on the burger. But anyways, guys, that's HelloFresh.com/CLNS free and use the code CLNS free for free breakfast for life. one breakfast item per box. While subscription is active. That's free.
Onion jam. Nick's got it. Yeah.
For life. Oh, that's what it is. Onion jam. HelloFresh.com/CLNS free with code CLNS free. And secondly, but certainly not last, we cannot forget our friends at FanDuel. Guys, right now you can get $150 in bonus bets when you place a $5 bet. You don't even have to win the bet. And I hope I'm gonna say a little prayer here. I hope Sherrod did not bet too much money tonight on his Eagles.
Shut up, Jimmy.
Because as we speak, it's still close. It's still close. It's 18-9. Wait, was there a safety or something? Was it just 16-9? Or did I make that up?
16-9.
Oh, it's still close, huh?
It's 18-9. There was just a safety, so that should tell you how things are going.
Listen, I'm doing well. You know why I'm doing well?
Why are you doing well?
I'm doing well because I was one of the few, but proud, who went against the Cowbums and picked the Packers.
Well, you had to go against the Cowboys as an Eagles fan.
I could have stood on the sideline, Jimmy. I could have stood on the side, but I said, you know what? Green Bay doesn't lose in that building. Cowboys are doing. This is exactly what the Cowboys do every year. 12-5, 12-4, lose before.
That was shocking, though, to lose like that. I mean, they just got run out of the building.
There are a lot of words to describe.
Kind of like the Celtics Game 7. Against Miami there.
So, anyways, the game's still going on right now. Obviously, no one's watching it because they're all watching our show. But if they were watching it, they would see the Eagles are going to have to stage a little fourth quarter comeback. But again, guys, it's new quarter. Yeah, I know, but I'm just anticipating if they just gave up a safety, that means the Bucs are about to get ball back, probably take it to the fourth quarter. Anyways.
By the way, did you see the commercial, Jimmy? I guess Gronk's kicking another field goal this year at the Super Bowl for probably some free bets.
Anything Gronk related, I'm all for. So, guys, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet on FanDuel. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. So, again, go on the app right now. Bet the fourth quarter. If you think you know what, Sherrod, if you think the Eagles are going to make a comeback, I want you to get on FanDuel and place that bet right now. Guys, visit FanDuel.com/Boston. That's the key to get this deal. It's FanDuel.com/Boston to get $150 in bonus bets when you place a $5 bet. We're going to wrap the show with a little bit more football talk. I don't want to say what it's about yet, but we did have some late breaking news right before the show started about the NFL. I'm not going to get into specifics, but I'm sure people can do their own research and figure out what we're going to at least mention.
Great tease, Jimmy. Great tease.
Before we do that, we will reel it back in here. Let me get back to my. Let me go through 1,000 of these lower thirds and find the one I want. Here it is. Bring everybody back around here and recap quickly. 105-96 Celtics win after a big win against old friend Ime Udoka Saturday night, and I wasn't able to be on that show. But it looked like the Celtics rebounded very nicely from their embarrassing loss in Milwaukee, and they kind of handed the Rockets a similar type of loss.
I hate to say it too, Jimmy. I think John got you on that one. It was definitely a subdued crowd that didn't really care.
It seems subdued, but I will say this.
There was some boos.
There were more boos than cheers.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah.
Give me that. I want to say this. I didn't really hear any cheers. I heard like some faint boos, and then, like you said, kind of nothingness because typically there's not a huge reaction to the coaches, and I thought maybe Ime's would be a lot louder than it was, but it was
they did that, and the coach Ime Udoka, and that was it.
Exactly. Yeah, he said it quick.
You know what? It's over with. It's done with. We don't have to talk about it anymore, and I think both sides can probably move on. And
that's how it felt. It's like it's over. Obviously, the big revelation was that he told the players what happened, apparently. So everybody just moved on after that, I guess.
Yeah.
He told the players his version of what happened. Yes. Let's be very clear about that. But the biggest, here's the thing, and this is why I think it's just such a dead issue. Look at where he's at. Look at where the franchise is at.
They got killed today.
Yeah.
I mean, why? If you're the Boston Celtics, you're kind of good with where things are right now.
Right.
You're not Brooklyn Nets. You're not, some of these other teams that at one point had like watershed moments where they were like top tier, and then all of a sudden one change in their, top of the organization, and then they basically begin to suck. No, Celtics have actually moved on and moved forward and moved ahead since he left. So if I'm fans, I'm not mad at him. Hell no, I'm good. I'm good. You should be good if you're Celtics Nation. You should be good.
I think,
but if the Celtics were 500, Sherrod, damn well that place would be boo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Udoka needs to send Missoula like a fruit basket or something to took the heat off him a little bit. I think with the way that Celtics have been able to continue on without him. My whole thing, Sherrod, and I don't want to go down this path again because it's old news, but my whole thing was, regardless of whether or not you think the punishment fit the crime, and we don't know, but regardless of whether or not you do, the person that it only mattered to thought it did, and in doing so, Ime effed the team last year, in my opinion. Because if you thought they were good enough,
definitely much more impactful last year. There's no doubt about it.
Last year, if you thought that Celtics should have been in the NBA Finals and been an NBA champion, they weren't. And I think a lot of people would say the way that season started a little bit, obviously everything was kind of in turmoil for a bit. And the toughness that Ime brought the team, you could make the point that the Heat out-toughed them in the playoffs last year. Maybe that doesn't happen if Ime still coach. So it's water under the bridge at this point. But that was my point, is that's why I would boo him, is because for the simple fact that he wasn't around long enough for me to have any other, I'm not going to cheer him. I'm not going to bring a sign that says,
John was cheering.
We miss you, Ime. Yeah, John brought his pom-poms apparently. But I didn't think there wasn't enough time.
No, John said no reaction, which is basically what it was all night. I thought there might be some jeering. I thought there might be some.
Well, that was
maybe there was, but
and it was a blowout, so it didn't need to come to that. But what happened to home court advantage? Make the other guys keep it in line, but isn't it all about making the advantage is making the other team uncomfortable? So why are you cheering? Why are you doing those things? I would, any excuse that I can boo an opposing player or coach or team, I'm taking it if I'm a fan, just because
it was a solid game for a quarter and a half before it became a blowout. So
right,
there was an opportunity to. But again, I just don't think people cared anymore.
People don't care now.
That was my big reaction.
Oh, you guys were right. You guys are more right than I was. And you know what?
I thought it would be like 60-40 with cheers.
I thought you'd get a nice ovation. Yeah.
You thought he was going to get an ovation? See, I never understood that at all.
Making the finals.
Just 1 year. They made the finals.
We got another Josue freeze frame right now?
Josue is stunned. Josue is stunned at your take. That's why you're giving us the freeze frame like that. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it. He coached 1 year. They lost. They actually blew the finals, if you want to spin it. And then he got fired. So that's why I would. So anyways, anything on this game again? I mean, we've hit on a few. I mean, we haven't really mentioned
Tatum. What do you
Tatum
think of Tatum's game?
Yeah, we haven't mentioned him much. Sherrod, anything that stood out to you tonight on Tatum other than the usual?
Well, he had that stretch. I think it was second or third quarter where he was just rebounding the ball like crazy. He had like 6 or 7 rebounds in one quarter. Tatum did what Tatum's supposed to do. I mean, this was a game where, well, as I said earlier, this was a transactional win. There was nothing there was no emotional engagement or attachment to this victory other than we're just going to go
14 rebounds. Damn.
Win. Yeah. And this is Tatum. This is what Tatum's supposed to do. Now, though, he didn't shoot the ball nearly as well in this game as he has in previous 3, 4, 5 games, but still, he made the shots that needed to be made. He made an impact. And I think Tatum's at that point where he doesn't have to score a ton of points to have a very good game. Like this, he's had games where he scored more than this that weren't nearly as good as this one because he impacted the game on multiple levels. His scoring, his rebounding, he made some really good passes. He did a little bit of everything, and his defense was solid as well. So this was a good Jayson Tatum game, but was it a great one? Is this one for the archives? No, it was, but he did exactly what the best players are supposed to do in games like this.
Hold on, let's pull in Josue.
Do we have to?
There he is.
There he is. He's stunned still at Bobby's take that Ime should have got a standing ovation. I'm surprised they didn't retire Ime's number. Just pick a number and toss it up there in the Raptors. He brought him to the NBA Finals.
Oh,
he helped push these guys. And, one of the things he talked about that Tatum did again tonight is when the shot's not on, find other ways to impact the game. The rebounding's been huge all year. I feel like he's their best rebounder, honestly. And they need it because some of the other bigs and even, you can't rely on the guard. So you need your big forward to be getting those. And he did. he did tonight and does.
did.
But the shot wasn't there. And at the start of the third, I thought his misses were a big reason the Raptors were getting out and on the run and such. But then he went to the rim. And those finishes were just so powerful. Back cut guys, finished over Young at one point with a vicious dunk, and then the free throw attempts. So this is a good, resilient performance for him in terms of how does he play when he's not making shots, which is always the big question with him. Because I feel like how he reacts to that is how it, piles down to the rest of the team. And then when you don't have Jalen to kind of counter his style, Jalen would have been the one attacking the basket tonight, and they didn't have that. So he went to it. He's so good in there, Sherrod. And, I've had this conversation with Josue, Sherrod, in terms of who he compares to, because we've kicked around Durant. Durant's just a much better shooter than him, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough to make that comparison. He's bigger too, taller. There's just a power to Tatum's game now at this point where he's gained the weight, where he's improved as a finisher, that he's that power forward. And more often than not, he needs to power through guys, whether posting up, whether on the drive, and finish inside, get free throws, because his shot's very inconsistent, we've seen in recent years. And in a game like this where it's not there, you have to get downhill. And his drives are down this year, which is very disappointing.
Yeah, but you know what though?
Paul Pierce back, man. That footwork, we see it from time to time. We just don't see it every night.
Here's my thing though about this game. I mean, Tatum, like I said, he's not doing anything right now that we haven't seen at least 10, 15, 20 times already this season. He's that consistently elite. But for me, Derrick White is interesting. We talked a little bit about him struggling, but I wanted to ask all of you though. I mean, are you concerned about his shot making? Because he's shot less than 40% in 4 of the last 5 games, and he's shot less than 30% in 3 of the last 5 games. How concerned are you with Derrick White and his shot making? Because that's a big. I mean, that's one of those little things that's going to be huge for this team. They're going to win it all.
Yeah.
With him, go ahead, Josue.
I'm just gonna say I'm not too concerned. The ankle thing kind of scared me tonight. He was able to come back because he's Derrick White and he's just Iron Man. But maybe he needs a few games off.
He's taking some hits physically that make me a little bit nervous. He's not.
Why doesn't he get a rest night?
We're just used to Derrick White not being phased at all by physicality, and it's taking him. He's feeling it. He's feeling some of that physicality now that I don't know if he felt, or at least he didn't let on that he was feeling earlier.
So I said it off the top. He is not playing as well as he was to start the year, obviously, when he was on all-star pace around Christmas there. But he's still playing incredible. You look at the floater over Barrett late, the 3, obviously, and he had another finish late, too. He was just timely tonight. I thought he was the most timely player in the fourth quarter in terms of the shots he made. So he's going to stay involved. There was, the other shot he made, Siakam came around the back of him, and they were triple teaming him, and it looked like he was going to lose the ball, and he just kept control of it, and then everybody kind of backed off, and he just stepped right into the mid-range and hit an elbow jumper. So he was super timely in this one. The defense is going to be there, that. He's definitely in a little bit of a slump right now, and maybe that's fatigue or bumps and bruises, whatever it might be. He wants to play every game, so I can't imagine he's going to take a rest at any point. But this is, I think, an acceptable game from him. When he's making shots, he's in another stratosphere. When he's not, he's still doing so much else that I think you're able to live with it. Now, it can't be a massive slump like we've seen over a handful of games coming into this one, like we saw in the 2022 playoffs, Jimmy. But I think he's in a much more confident place where he can shake off a game like this shooting-wise. And again, he shot 5 of 11 from 3. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, if he's not going to hit those big shots, it's going to be a big steal or some crazy putback or some sort of offensive rebound to give these guys another chance. He just finds a way to make an impact. But you wonder if this stuff is catching up to him. It would be nice to see him have a break every once in a while.
Again, if we're panicking over 22 and 5 of 11 from 3, Yeah, I think
But
we're
if
correct on that.
if it was just the one game, then yeah, you're right. But it's
But
not.
the extended stretch, yeah.
He's had like 3 or 4 games, and we're not used to Derrick White having 3 or 4 within a 5-6 game window of subpar shooting games. That's just not, that hasn't been his pattern. And that's why I think it's something to at least put on the radar, to be on the lookout for. But it to me, it reinforces the need to have a stronger bench. I mean, if Hauser
We should
is
talk about that.
yeah. I mean, I think back to when Brad kind of alluded to, wanting another wing. I'm not sure he's looking at a wing for defensive purpose. I'm thinking he might be looking for someone who can actually make a shot or string together a couple of shots when you have a guy out and maybe, one of your other wings that's playing more minutes, maybe they don't have shots going. Is there someone other than Sam Hauser that you can rely on? And that's no disrespect to Sam. It's just that he's the only one. Yeah. I mean, and there's part of my concern with Sam, and again, this is no knock on him, but I wish there was someone else that would push him to be better, because Sam's really good now. But I still think there's a level that Sam can go to if there was someone around that was actually challenging him for minutes. But there's no one.
I'm so curious. They're gonna make a move. I don't think there's any doubt about it, because my sense is, just talking to people, they really like this bench. They really like the guys off.
They want to add one more piece. They know they need another piece.
And there's just so many unproven guys here off this bench. Hauser's had a great year. He didn't play a minute in the playoffs last year, at least a meaningful one. Pritchard had a little bit of a run during the finals run, but it wasn't super impactful. But he has the experience. And then you go to Brissett, no real playoff experience there. Cornette, obviously none. So you don't know how any of these guys are going to fare in a playoff environment. Are they going to get targeted and driven off the floor? Are they going to get ignored offensively, Sherrod, to a point where they can't play because it's impacting the offense? That's your worry with this bench right now, because like you said, Hauser's the only one who's really a threat, who really draws defensive coverage. And even he's prone to go cold at points. So I don't know what you're going to do here. They're definitely not going to consolidate this bench, Jimmy, I don't think, into one shot chucker off the bench.
No.
But I think you do have to just add a guy to the mix, like Muscala last year. And, looking back on it, honestly, that Muscala trade was a miss. You traded 2 seconds for a guy who can never really play for you. So that was a swing and a miss. Interesting today, though, and it's a good segue into this. I don't think it's going to necessarily be a trade. Go ahead.
I was just going to comment on White before we got off him. I mean, I think, just to answer Sherrod's question, I'm definitely not in panic mode about Derrick White. One of the reasons is I know what he's capable of now. I was panicking when they first made the trade and he was shooting horribly for the rest of the year. And I said, and anyone who watches the show knows how, concerned, to put it in a lack of better word, me and John were about that trade. And we wondered if it was like a trade that was going to just torpedo the team for the next couple of years. Obviously that wasn't the case. Derrick White completely turned it around last year. If you just look at this season alone, Sherrod, I don't think the last 10 games are indicative of who Derrick White is. And I don't really know if the 10 games before that were indicative of who Derrick White is. He's probably somewhere in the middle. And, because just looking at the splits, if you look at the games, I think it's 21-30, he was shooting 54, 55% from the field. That's not sustainable. And whatever it was from three is probably like 46, 47%. And now I'm sure it's torpedoed, right? I mean, over the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games, he's coming back down to earth. I don't think he's going to continue to shoot at that level, but I think he's finding water a little bit, and I think he's going to come back up a little bit. You're still going to get a player that's going to have a career year this year. You're still going to get a guy that's going to finish with the most points he's had, at the end of the year on an average basis. I still think the intangible stuff that he's doing now, reminiscent of like those Marcus Smart days. Again, he's like a higher basketball IQ Marcus Smart, in my opinion. Again, not no shade at Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart was good at Marcus Smart things, but I think Derrick White, when he has the ball, even if he's not having a night where he's scoring 20 plus, and that's what he was doing for a stretch. He was scoring 20 plus points a game, and I don't really know if that's what we can expect from him on a night by night basis as the guy who's got to score after Brown, who's got to score after Tatum, Porzingis is going to get his. I don't think you can expect 20-plus points a game from Derrick White. Now, it's great. We know he's capable of it, but I just don't think that's what you're going to get. That doesn't mean that I'm panicked. I do think some of those shots that aren't falling are going to start to fall a little bit more often than they have over the last few games. Is it a nagging injury that he's dealing with? I'm not sure. Does he need a night off? Maybe. He's had a couple this season. But no, I'm not panicked. I do think that this is a slump. All these guys go through it. I think he's earned the right to go through a little bit of a slump.
He has. It looks as though it's more of a mental thing than anything else. That he needs some time off. I mean, I'm at this point just watching him play. I'm hoping that once
you think the kid's keeping him up late.
Stop, Jimmy. Don't go there.
It's a dad problem. Everyone's got it.
I know, which is why I'm telling you to stop. That's what I'm telling you to stop. No, I think I'm really hoping that All-Star break is going to be really good for him to have some time where he's not doing anything in terms of direct game preparation. He can actually kick back and relax a little bit because I think that is what he needs more than anything else right now. Just some time off the floor. But the problem is he gives you so much, even when he's struggling, that you can't keep him off the floor. Mm-hmm. So the All-Star break can't get here quick enough for Derrick, whether he's an All-Star or not. He's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably not going to be at this point unless there's injuries. But
and even now, I don't even think he'll be a top choice for injuries.
Yeah, no, he won't be the top choice certainly. I want to bring this up though. Maybe minor, but an interesting trade did happen yesterday in the NBA between the Wizards and Pistons. Marvin Bagley and Isaiah Livers going from Detroit to Washington, and Mike Muscala and Danilo Gallinari going to the Pistons.
I was wondering why you bring this up, Bobby.
Yeah, why'd you light up like that?
You see that? Mike Muscala.
He's cooking. Bobby's cooking. What's going on in his mind up there?
I find it interesting because no one's going to trade for those guys. They really struggled in Washington. Didn't play a ton. But
I love Gallo.
You're talking about a bad situation, aren't you? Yeah.
So I don't think it's Muscala. They don't need another big. He's not better than Cornette. Gallinari's interesting because he can play a little five. He can.
And he's better than Cornette. Let's say it, Bobby. Say it. He's better than Cornette.
He's not.
No, I don't think so. But
it's different.
You think Gallo's better?
I mean, Gallinari this year, and I know it's a small sample, but 31 from 3, 43 from the field.
He takes threes.
3 rebounds. Yeah, I mean, I'm confident.
Chris Big that takes threes. Wow.
I'm confident in him playing better than that, but he'd effectively be a Blake on this team. I know someone said in the chat earlier. Does that help you? Do you actually want more of an impact guy? Because I don't think he's going to help you much. But if you do want a guy in there for some vibes and maybe sneak a few minutes here or there for free, that might be a guy who becomes available.
Well, I think chances are, Bobby, whoever the Celtics trade for isn't going to be someone that's going to help you right away, right? I think if anything, it's an insurance policy. And
Gallo is he good enough for that?
I mean,
I'd rather wing insurance policy, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Brad Stevens is spot on and just
never have enough wings.
Not especially when the ones you brought in haven't exactly made the most of their opportunities to get on the floor.
Right.
Oshae has been up and down. Lamar has been down. And
is Oshae showing a little something though?
What's that?
Is Oshae showing a little something? I mean, he's so
he
good.
He shows a little something every now and then, but he doesn't show it consistently. That's been his issue here.
When Brad said that wing might be on the team, I don't think there's any doubt he was talking about Oshae.
Yeah. He's absolutely talking about Oshae. But the fact that he has to qualify it with might be on the team tells you all you need to know. He might be on the team, but he hasn't shown me enough so that I'm confident as a GM to say that's my guy.
Right.
So if we're comparing,
in other words, Brad's still looking.
If we're comparing someone to Cornette, though, I mean, the offensive rebounding that Brissett brings is really a game changer. And if you put
Sherrod, you got him in his feelings, man. Look what you did.
I know.
If you put,
he's still thinking about what you said about Cornette. Wait a minute. Back to that.
I was ready to let that ship just go down the ocean and die like the Titanic is going to die, but Bobby's like, no, let's go.
If you
one more thing about that Cornet take. Hold on. Yeah.
if you
Go ahead, finish.
if you
finish
put
with
up
the Lukeology.
if you put up Brissett's offensive rebounding number against everybody in the league, he'd be 17th, right there, tied with Sabonis coming into the night. So that's the level he's rebounding at. Obviously, he doesn't qualify to be among the league leaders, but
Sabonis.
in his minutes, he's rebounding at like a Sabonis level. So
Bobby.
this is super impactful stuff from him. He's doing on the boards, and if he can shoot 33 to 35% from three, defend, they might go small with, Horford, Oshae, rather than trying to do the Horford Cornet thing in the playoffs, because Cornet, matchup wise, there's certain games where he just has a lot of trouble, getting switched out and things like that. And tonight again, I know why people are frustrated. He dropped so many rebounds on the offensive glass in this one. So that's something Oshae's not going to do. He's going to hammer it down. He's going to get by guys and be in the right spot. I mean, his rebounding is uncanny, Sherrod. Like the way he crashes out of the corner. I know Scal said it on the broadcast too. That's a real, what do we say, Sherrod? If you're going to be on the court, if you're going to be in the playoff rotation, you need a real deal skill that's going to keep you out there. Is it your shooting? Is it your passing? Is it your decision-making? His is his rebounding. And, he might not hit 7 threes like Grant did in a playoff game, but he might have 3 or 4 offensive rebounds in a playoff game over a 5-6 minute stretch. So I do believe in Oshae. Like, I think he's going to be in that mix for a playoff spot. I just think the cost of acquiring an impact wing like John Conchar, like somebody like that's going to be a little too high. I mean, I said, Jimmy, would you give up a first for him? And you were like, hell no.
Hell no.
So
we laughed. We actually had a good, long, hard laugh.
So I don't like, and right now Memphis needs them to actually court a NBA team. Like they have so many guys hurt. So
right.
I don't know if that's going to be in the cards. You might need Oshae to step up, and
they might just be stuck with who they have.
I mean, and Jimmy, that's what I think may wind up being the case.
Maybe you throw Gallinari in the mix.
Here.
Yeah, and hope you get lucky. But it's very possible you make no trade deadline deals.
Yeah, it's very possible. And I would be okay with that as long as Brad has exhausted all options and there wasn't a ridiculous offer that they walked away from. Like if someone said, we'll give you Conchar and it'll cost you a 2nd round pick.
2 seconds.
Do the deal.
Yeah.
Do the deal. But if they're saying it'll cost you 2 2nd round picks and a future first, we're good. Thanks,
yeah,
but
no, and some teams do. I know Oklahoma City valued Kenrick Williams at that price for a while there. And some teams, just hold a hard bargain for their players. They really like their guys, and they need to be blown away to move off them. And they have no urgency to move Conchar. I think he signed 3 years. So that's how it goes, right? You're either going to be looking at an expiring guy who's very cheap, and that's a limited number of guys, or a buyout guy. And at the end of the day, we make a big deal about it every season. No buyout guys help, realistically. Like, who's the last buyout guy who really swung a team, Sherrod?
I can't think of one. I remember years ago, there was this huge thing about Troy Murphy.
Troy Murphy, I was going to say.
He's like the poster child for bad buyouts. What happened? Bad buyouts go wrong.
Troy Murphy. Michael Finley. More Michael Finley.
Come in here and flip.
Michael Finley.
He was horrible. Great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. Love Troy Murphy. Notre Dame, that's the guy. But he was a horrible fit in Boston. Horrible.
Ahmed says Boris.
Well, you know why this happens every year, right, guys? Because the one time they did it, or maybe the first time really, in the sense of a team that had a contending team already intact, was the year they won it all. They got Sam Cassell. They got P.J. Brown. I mean, PJ was technically retired, but they got him off the bench, and they obviously won a championship that year. But ever since then, that was it. That was the one time.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy.
Goran Dragic last year, but didn't he go to the Bucks? Or maybe that was 2 years ago at this point.
And 2 years ago,
yeah.
You have to remember that when guys are bought out, there's a reason why they're available.
They're done.
Yeah.
Now, Hayward, the Celtics can't acquire him, but if Hayward becomes available, and I don't know who's under that second apron, it'll
be interesting to see which team gets him. Yeah, well.
he could actually be a difference maker for a team if he's healthy, of course, which we always. Yeah,
but you're not talking about.
I mean, if you've got him slotted to play 15 to 20 minutes a night for you, and you've got enough talent where you can justify him having that limited window of playing time, yeah, he can absolutely help you. Absolutely.
He'd have to be playing for the Knicks or I'm trying to think.
He might wind up playing more than 15 to 20 minutes if he's with the Knicks.
That could be a team he ends up with. Miami, I don't think they're over the apron, so he could end up there too.
And they've got that after the fact bromance thing going on. Where
he wanted to go there. Yeah.
He really wanted to go there, and so would not be surprised if he just bought out and goes there.
You spent your career in Utah, Boston, Charlotte, nice warmer city, but not a great team. You might as well go enjoy the end at
if it's the fourth quarter of your career like it is for him, finishing in Miami, you could do worse.
He does seem like a Heat, doesn't he?
Of course you could do worse. Yeah,
I can't wait to see what the Heat and Sixers do because they're just sitting on so many assets. Those two teams want to do a deal so bad. Like, did one of them get Brogdon? Did one of them get Hayward?
Neither one of them. Well, at least Philly, the one I'm thinking, they're not willing to put in a big piece.
Right.
It takes something. It takes something to
get
them.
Move to Tobias Harris. Now's the time. His stock is not going to get any higher.
Wow, that ship has sailed, man. They waited too long.
Wow.
For that.
I think they like him
at this point.
Yeah.
He's playing well though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's that money. It's just that money.
It is. It's a problem.
Money. So that's the trade chatter going around
we are how many days from the deadline? 15th today.
I was going to ask you that.
The deadline is 3 weeks from Thursday.
Oh, it's coming up.
Yeah.
So it's coming up.
You got like 23 days.
Do you see any of the? I mean, we just talked. You just mentioned Sixers.
Siakam's the big name.
Brogdon.
Do you see Bucks? Do you see Bucks doing anything?
No, they can't. They have 2 second-round picks, so maybe they get something small with that. I don't think they have a DP.
What about Atlanta? You think they move Murray?
That's the big one, and there does seem to be a lot of momentum. They're falling apart. They had a big win tonight. Yeah,
unfortunately, they want two first at least.
The latest you're hearing there is the Nets, and that makes a lot of sense because they're the only suitor that could get the ball in his hands a ton. Bridge is obviously a guy who can thrive off the ball, so that makes a lot of sense. They have a lot to offer. Maybe they could send one of those Rockets picks, and just add a playmaker offensively, and they need one. It's weird that the Hawks are looking to disband a little bit here. I guess just rework around Young. They've tried to do that a couple times, and he was obviously the big move they made. Spurs interested in Murray too, which would be weird, but it does look like the Nets are, kind of that emerging big suitor right now. Knicks are in the mix. I don't think he makes sense there. He just be playing off ball like he was next to Young. Lakers, same thing. Like, they need shooting. He's not much of a shooter. So I think he's going to end up with the Nets.
There you go. Well, once again, guys, we want to thank HelloFresh for allowing us to do this show tonight. HelloFresh.com/CLNS free. Use the code CLNS free and get free breakfast for life. And we have a bonus football segment today brought to you by FanDuel. Guys, we're going to end the show on a little football segment. Get $150 in bonus bets when you place a $5 bet at FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/Boston. And our bonus NFL talk tonight is the news that just dropped. No, it's not that the Eagles are now down even more than they were.
I hate you, Jimmy.
That's not the news. We're not going to talk about that because we care too much about Sherrod, so we're not going to talk about the Eagles blowing this one and possibly firing Nick Sirianni after this. We'll see. If they do, there is a coach that is actively interviewing right now. His name is Bill Belichick.
And this wasn't a report. This was right from the team.
This is the team. The team just
that never happens.
Look at us, everybody. We just interviewed.
We got Bill to interview. We got Bill to interview. Woo.
This is like the ugly freshman in high school going on a date with like the prom queen and then telling everybody in school the next day, like, yeah, I went on a date with the prom queen. Yeah, I'm with a good point. he says that Bill actually interviewed the
Bill's on
Falcons.
his tour. It's the biggest free agent coach ever.
The Falcons think that they interviewed Bill, but it was actually Bill interviewing.
I know, right? What are they going to interview him about?
Yeah. So
tell us about
Bill, we're
yourself.
taking a pretty impressive resume. Looks like you got here. You got like, yeah, what's that? What's that interview process going like? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get some references. Like, yeah. Oh my God, that's too funny. What do you guys think? Is it? I'll be honest.
It's not fun.
I mean, I know it's been the rumor for a while. I just can't picture Belichick in Atlanta. I just think it's a whiff organization.
Yeah.
It's the same organization that I thought Belichick murdered that organization a couple years ago.
No, this is the team to get all the other teams riled up and thinking that, you know what, let me take a shot at them. But sorry, go ahead, Sherrod.
No, I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas made a decision on their head coach and cut him loose that they reached out to Bill. That wouldn't surprise me. That's such a Jerry Jones kind of move to do.
But would Jerry Jones and Bill Belichick be able to?
That's a good question because the job's obviously amazing.
They would not. It would. I mean, it would be great for the media because you're going to have so many issues.
Pull and tug, yeah. And there was obviously that in New England at the end too, but not to this degree. And if you're
both
Jones,
those guys go in with mutual, like they both have a lot to gain by allowing each other to do their things.
Right. And so that's what I was going to say. The Cowboys have lost so much at this point. They've had so many bad coaches. Mm-hmm. Maybe if you're Jones, you take a back seat and put your ego aside and let Bill run things. I don't know if that's going to happen.
They must have some kind of relationship. They've both been involved in the NFL for 50 years, and I'm sure that they've come across each other and all that stuff. I don't think Bill's find a better roster win. If Bill's trying to set the record for wins, right, and make another Super Bowl run, I just don't know if
shots or whatever.
I don't know if Atlanta's the place to go about doing that unless he's planning on coaching there for 5 years and turning the whole thing around. They need a quarterback. You know, they've got some pieces there, but I mean, again, I don't want to bring this up, but Philly could be looking for a coach soon. There's a couple of organizations and teams that might be good or better matches for Belichick. It is weird to hear that he's interviewing for, it's like the breakup. Oh, is she already dating? Is she already dating somebody else? Like already? Like it's only been 2 days and she's already dating somebody else. Like, whoa. So it is kind of strange to hear that, but
yeah, exactly, Jimmy. This is that like,
whoa, there he is.
This is the one to get the other ones jealous, It's like the rebound.
Yeah, you think so? So, Josue, is Atlanta the team, or is this just the first?
Nah, it's just a rebound. One? He's just flirting a little bit.
He's
getting back on the field.
Belichick's getting back in the game.
He's warming up.
He hasn't been on a date in 20 years.
Right. But I think Bob Kraft is thinking like, man, Atlanta would be cool. No, I'm just kidding.
Bob Kraft would be very happy if he chose Atlanta. I'll tell you where nobody wants Bill to go.
Him and Meek Mill might pull up if that was the case.
Yeah.
What team's coming to New England first? That's who he really needs to end up on.
Meek Mill's a Philly guy. But trust me, Bob Kraft does not want Bill going to Dallas. He does not want to see Bill holding up a Lombardi trophy.
And then Brady and Bill will have one and Kraft won't.
Legacy talk starts to shift towards the Crafts here.
If that happens. Can I just say real quick, right? So toward the end of the podcast with Max, he's going on and on about how Bill Belichick better not go to some team just to get the all-time record, just cuz and all that. So then finally I go, Max, what if he goes to Dallas? Max is a huge Cowboys fan.
Oh. All of a
The
sudden,
smile on his face, little by little, he was like,
every Cowboys fan must be dreaming of this.
He goes, I never thought about that. And like, literally, guys, check it out. Like the last 10 minutes of the show, it's going to come up next episode. Like, it's just, he couldn't stop smiling. Like, he couldn't stop thinking about it. It was hilarious.
How can Max be a Cowboys fan? That is just crazy.
I always say it's the people who fell in love with that era. They couldn't let it go.
Right. Charlotte,
90s,
North Carolina didn't have a team back then. So.
Right, that too. But I just mean he's been in New England for so long, though. He's been here.
They got their team 95 or something like that, right? That's a good point, Bobby. Yeah.
Patriots were a non-factor when he got here.
Yeah, the Panthers started in like the mid 90s. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna let you all go. Sherrod, thank you for joining us. Josue, thank you. Bobby, thank you.
Wembenyama Wednesday.
Wemby Wednesday.
Please let him be available. It's that one shot to see him. I know he's been resting here or there. They have a couple nights off after their game today, so
You think Pop would do it?
please be available.
Oh, that would be a killer if he wasn't. But he'll be in the building, I'm sure, either way. And I think just like looking at a guy like that, it's just like,
No, we want to see him play.
Yeah, I know.
Get out there.
You got to get him out there. Got to get him.
He's going to do at least one thing in that game that just blows your mind.
Or he's going to get dunked on.
Just like, oh, maybe Jaylen
I'm
Brown.
going to call it right now. Jaylen will dunk on him.
Maybe Jaylen Brown's saving up. That's why he didn't play.
That's a great prop bet.
Bobby's so quiet right now.
Speaking of
gonna try to.
Speaking of Bill, I think fortunately Popovich is kind of pulling a Bill down there with the Spurs. So? Yeah, I mean he did I forget exactly what he said. I texted someone about it. He did one of those timeout, the interviews, and I know he's always a little short with those, but they were down like 30 early, and he was like, the offense is pretty poor, and from what I've seen, the defense matches that. Talking about his team.
Well, he's always been blunt, so that's not going to change.
Great new chaser.
Yeah, exactly. Popovich has always been compared to Belichick in those, different sports, similar mindsets and success stories and all that stuff. But we shall see how it ends up. But yeah, Wemby on Wednesday. We will be here after the game, so we hope that you guys all join us. Thanks again to everyone who hung out with us tonight after the Celtics take down the Raptors. What was it, 107-96, something like that?
Join us tomorrow. We're doing a 12:30 Garden Report. Gonna have a Raptors guest on, talk a little bit about them in this game here. So stay tuned for that.
We got a bonus show tomorrow. We got Josue's podcast with Sherrod.
National podcast coming out tomorrow.
Sherrod, you got anything coming on down the pipe?
Yeah, we'll have a podcast either Wednesday or Thursday.
All right, be on the lookout for that. And I'm just gonna be chilling, so you might see me.
Jimmy John podcast.
Yeah, be on the lookout for that. All right, thank you guys. We'll see you later. Peace.